This is a video about a woodworking project gone so wrong that I thought I'd give up woodworking. That was 6 months ago, and it all started with this, a Samsung frame TV. Only it doesn't come with a frame, so obviously I had to build one. Of course, frames are simple, right? That's what I thought. Let me tell you about the requirements. First, it has to cover the bezel of the television, but also the sides and the back of the television. Second, it has to be both easy to put on and take off. Third, the biggest requirement, my wife has to like it. And ironically, that's where the problems start. I started this project about 6 months ago. At first, it went just as planned. Well, except for the fact it took a week to select the profile. Sometimes, too many choices is just as bad as not enough. To be fair, my wife has a fair amount of indifference to my woodworking. But that selection played a crucial role in the end. Alright, so the build went pretty fast, and even though there were some change orders from the boss, it was done in a Saturday. And the only reason it took most of a Saturday was my shaper. Let me take a minute or two and tell you that I love shapers. I rehabbed a Powermatic 26, and that tool and I did many fine projects together. I also love large, flat work, big tables, interesting doors, and a shaper really allows you to do all of those things. Most of the time on this build was spent setting up the shaper, tearing down the shaper, and setting it up again. You get the idea. Besides a lathe, I think shapers are the most fun you can have in woodworking. They're also the most dangerous. So my advice is, if you're thinking about getting a shaper, don't get a combo. So after the build, I taped it up and we tried a test fit, and that went perfectly. And all that was left to do was assemble it. And unfortunately for me, that's where the story really started. There's a few reasons this project was so complicated. First, the frame all had to be cut from the same piece of white oak, so no do-overs. Second, because the face of the frame is rounded over, it's very unstable. Third, the corners are compound miters, both at 45 degrees and at 6 degrees. That way the frame can lean backwards. The interior edge is also a 6-degree rabbet, and there's no exterior edge. But I'm not sure any of those were the real issue. The first part of the assembly was just to make sure that everything aligned properly, but it didn't. Now, I have a small shop. It's really a 3-car garage, so assembling big projects, even a picture frame, can be, let's say, a bit challenging. This is where my CNC really comes in handy. It's a big, beautiful flat surface. I use it for staging, I use it for glue-ups, I use it for assembly, I even use it for finishing. Anyway, no matter what I tried, I couldn't get all 4 corners to align. I wasn't even sure why, but I tried everything I could think of. Over the course of weeks, I tried test cuts on different saws. I tried pulling the 2 joints together with every type of joinery I could think of. A spline might have worked, but cutting such an oddly shaped angle with such a shallow spline, well, let's just say I didn't want to start over. This went on for weeks. I was waking up in the middle of the night just to go check an angle. It was just going too far. It was ruining my life. So, after a month, I just decided to glue it up as best I could. And, to my surprise, it looked pretty good. But, when I look at it, I know there's something janky happening here. Here's my best guess as to what happened, and also, I think the moral of this video. The frame is thin. It's 16 foot long and only 4 inches wide. I think my build was perfect, and I think the wood just moved. Not much, but just enough to prevent a perfect compound joint. So what's the moral of this story? Well, I guess there's a couple of things you could take away from it. First, woodworking's an imperfect art, and seeking perfection can take the fun right out of it. And second, nobody cares about how perfect your project is but you. Because even though when I see the frame, I see problems, everybody else seems to think the frame looks fantastic.
I need to log off, I need to step back. Constantly online, causing me setbacks too. Every day see so many people doing the things you do, and they're doing it better too.